Hi, everyone. Welcome to Film Trooper Presents the Film Marketing Fridays. I'm your host, Scott and today I finally have another guest with me to mug here after the screen share button. Okay, there I am. Happy 4th of July to all of you Americans. We actually have people all over the world kind of tuning into this. So over here we call it Independence Day. I think other people might call it, if you're in Britain, you might call it the American Rebellion or Colonial Rebellion. I don't know what they call it. But anyhow, guest is Jeremy Brunson, and he just worked on, he's going to see his credits, this editor, producer, Rosetta, audiovisual. Somebody got cut off at the end. But we're going to go into this because you guys just finished, you and the director and I would assume
Right.
creator, right? Why don't you fill us in a little bit about Rosetta, the audio visual, this full length documentary you guys are doing, and then I'll show you some. I'll show the viewers some links and
Great.
stuff.
So Rosetta Audiovisual is a feature-length documentary following the post-metal band Rosetta, which is based out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and it's their kind of struggle with uh, as they decide to take their take their fate into their own hands and go out on their own and break from their label and release their own album by themselves without any help from a studio, or not a studio. Studio would be a film thing, a label, and in a sense, it's kind of it's just as far as this what we're talking about here. It's almost what we're as filmmakers we're all trying to start doing now as well. Is we're taking that risk, and the tools are available now, and we're trying to put it out there. So there's kind of some parallels as well. But yeah, it's about friendships. It's about a lot of things as well as just this band. But primarily, we're focusing on the fans of this band.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch over to this screen share so people can kind of see the IndieGoGo link. I can't really play the video because when it gets piped back
Yeah.
through Hangout, it looks like garbage. But there will be a link for everybody. As always, you can have the PDF download of the slide presentation, and all the links are included. So as I find my screen share button again, where am I? Oh, here we go. This is awesome. So, okay. Here we go. Boom. There you see it. They should be able to see it. I have to see if I can see it. Okay, I do see it. All right, so this is it. So you'll get this link. This is the Indiegogo project fundraiser. And when I talked to you guys were about I don't know, a couple $1,000s shy,
Mhm.
reaching your goal of $6,000. And what I understand, you know, we could, like I said, I could play this, but you probably won't
Right.
hear it out there, so you can check it out. I'll just kind of scroll through it a little bit. Like I said, to play it first, to scroll through it. Um, let's see here. Let's see, Justin. See, I can hear this. I don't know if people can hear this.
No, I can't.
Where there he is. There's our
Yeah.
boy. Can you hear it?
No, I can't.
All right, there's.
We actually use Hangouts a lot because with the director in the Baltimore area, and I'm myself
Yes.
in Los Angeles. We actually use Hangouts a lot to kind of share my screen while I'm editing, and we have to. It's a little complicated setup to get the audio actually going to him as well.
Yeah, you know what? I need to pipe this through another mixer so people can actually hear the audio. But I just want at least
Right.
people to see Justin. And this is, I'm sorry, Justin. This is the best picture I can get for you, right
Yeah.
there. So there's Justin, and this is Justin Jackson, right?
Right.
And so he is the director and creator and putting this together. And I'm curious, how did you guys, what was the major push to get you guys past your goal in the last few days?
I I think that we did end up getting. I think one of the things that we thought there'd be some response from fans, but we actually expected a little bit more of a, kind of a balance of friends and family. But actually, most of this response has actually been from fans, which has been um, quite, which is great, which is who we've primarily made the movie for. Um, but we've gotten some contributions, quite sizable ones, and we would call each other up and just like, "Do you know this person?" And we'd find that we didn't know them. I think one of the big pushes that we had is we added, initially when we did it, we were only just going to do pretty much all our perks are kind of just videos, additional videos like concerts, like full-length concerts that we shot multicam that we're going to also make available. There'll be portions of them in the film, but as a separate download, they can have these entire concerts. But we didn't offer DVDs at first, and I think once we added DVDs, that actually gave us a little extra push as well. Um,
Old school
and
DVDs. That was like one of the key perks, huh?
yeah, yeah. For some, I think we were like, oh well, a lot of people, because I know me personally, when I support a film on Indiegogo or Kickstarter and stuff, most of the time I don't like physical stuff just piling up here anymore. I'd much rather just have a digital download or a way of
Right.
watching it digitally. Um, and I think that's what we're kind of going with. And we just also didn't want to really worry too much about the logistics of all that. But we found a good service that we can use, and it'll be pretty manageable. But that's once we added that, we got a lot of interest in the DVDs itself.
Can I ask you what service you guys have decided on to manufacture or print out the DVDs?
Well, I've used a service through just as far as my job as an editor, just editing other things. Service called Kunaki. That's Kunaki.
Let me see
It's
if I, yeah,
it's a
Knack.
very very bare bones service. It's you pretty much upload it. You upload your kind of DVD master. They have a little application that you download. It's only for Windows. Um, and you upload it to their servers in Nevada, and then you can order it just kind of on demand. And the prices are really reasonable. They can ship directly to whatever address that you want. Uh, so that's really cool. And then or you can just order a whole batch for yourself and then just ship it out. But it's full casing, full color disc printing, um, and shrink wrap with prices that start like at $1.
Interesting, interesting, very
Yeah,
cool. All
yeah.
right, so let's see here. We have, whoops, I'm gonna jump over here. So we've got your campaign, and that was an interesting little tidbit about actual physical media, where we, tend to say, hey, you know what, in our own um, perspective, I think both of you and I are like, hey, less physical goods, the better, the less
Yeah,
stuff I have to pile up in my house, that's cool. But one thing they definitely teach sort of in marketing and business is sort of it's not about you, it's about your audience. And so you have to sort of test out what your audience wants. And that's
right.
one of the great things about the crowdfunding explosion is a lot of business people look at it as a way of testing product ideas because
Mm,
you can and they look at it from a business person's perspective. They actually look at it as, I'll put a very modest goal up to see if there's any bites, any interest in this product that I'm putting out there. Because if there is, I get a pre-sale. So that tells me that there's people that are willing to put skin in the game to get this product, and that tells me that I can move forward, or I can adjust, the product. And it's based off this book Eric Ries wrote called The Lean Startup, and he talks about the minimum viable product, the MVP. Like a tech startup, he would literally um, sort of, make like a product that is like a software product that just works barely,
mm,
and you send it out to the audience, your customer base, and then you get money, some pre-sales or whatever it is, so people are buying in, and then you get their feedback. So this is your direct customers are telling you what's working or what's not working in the world of software. And the question is for filmmakers, how does that work? How do you make that work? Sometimes it might just be testing out like some artwork, some initial, maybe the story or the script is out there early, or some like initial scene, just to bite to see if people want to, get involved or interested in what you're selling. Um, so definitely for the marketing business standpoint, people they really like this idea of crowdfunding for that reason, because you get to test out a product idea. And since film is a product, a digital product, and now you'd be a physical product because you're going to put it on DVD.
Mhm.
Um, the question I really it's interesting because Rosetta, are they an East Coast band?
Yes, they are. They are an East Coast band. Uh, they their fan base here in the U.S. is pretty decent. I mean, they're not a huge band. They're kind of a niche band. Um, but
Yeah.
their popularity. So we actually got a lot of contributions as well from overseas, particularly in Europe and Russia and some of these other countries. So
Now,
so
now what
they're relatively popular in their genre here in the U.S., but actually probably more popular in overseas.
now hear me. If you can explain like what post metal is for most people that don't know, I think there's a lot of different categories for it, but it's interesting that you mentioned like the European countries, Germany, Russia. I think that sort of plays well into this sort of band's music style niche.
Yeah,
It's
I
hard,
think
hard to describe.
as far as defining post metal, I just went to Wikipedia because it's one of these things where like Rosetta itself, I think has been called many things. I think even in one review, I think they've been called astronaut metal. Um, so it's one of these things where there's it's a very loose definition. Um, so Wikipedia, it's got it as a fusion music genre, a mixture between the genres of post rock, heavy metal, and shoegazing, which is a new word that I've seen here. Shoegazing is a
Shoegazing.
subgenre of alternative rock
Okay.
that emerged from the United Kingdom in the 1980s by bands such as My Bloody Valentine, Slowdive, and Ride. All right.
I remember
Um,
Ride.
so yeah, it is. It is. I think you've got some kind of the post rock. I think some examples of that would be like Explosions in the Sky, which is kind of very kind of melodic, maybe sometimes indulgent, very long kind of instrumentals. Um, I think their music is kind of notable in Friday Night Lights, and so essentially you take that and make it metal, and that's kind of what post metal is as well.
And do you know if was it just kind of quickly like how did Justin get involved, or it was like he was just a fan of the band, or did he know the band? And then how did he get connected with you, being that you're on the West Coast, correct?
Right. Justin and I, we actually went to film school together. So we went to North Carolina School of the Arts, or now University of North Carolina School of the Arts in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Um, and we had actually 10 years ago, or not 10 years ago, but about 8 years ago, after we graduated, we actually both were in the Atlanta area. We moved to the Atlanta area because this is kind of what we wanted to do back then. We wanted to make a uh, a documentary specifically on a music documentary. That's what we really wanted to do. We wanted to work on documentaries with each other, and then we wanted to work to support ourselves doing that. And we kind of failed at the time. We weren't able we didn't have experience. We weren't able to kind of break in, and we ended up through some connections I had. We ended up working for Time Inc. in Birmingham, Alabama for a couple of years, and then we split off in different directions. He went up to New York. I went to work with he went to work with New York to work with MTV and Samsung for a while, and I'm out here on the West Coast. Um, and so he kind of made a couple short documentaries. One on an artist that we kind of worked on while we were in Georgia, and then he was just kind of he has a day job working as a production coordinator for a company called Laureate, and he was just looking for something creatively that he wanted. He wanted to continue doing what we originally set out to do. So he kind of just started looking around, seeing what bands that he was a fan of, and just started contacting people again. Because we did actually contact quite a few people at the time, but we just back in Georgia, but we just didn't get anywhere because when it came to, well, what experience do you have? No one was willing to trust us, which is a valid concern. We didn't really have much to show besides a couple short films from film school. Uh, so we had a little bit more experience. He was able to show the band what he's done in the past, and at the time Justin didn't really have a plan. He thought maybe he'd just do a short documentary on the band, and he found himself 3 years later that he'd captured the tumultuous time of them leaving their label, of them taking this risk on putting all their money into this new record, um, and releasing it themselves. So from there, we found out with the hundreds of hours of stuff that he filmed, where he didn't necessarily have a plan going into it, that we actually had a narrative, we had an arc, and I was kind of brought in when he realized he had that.
Interesting.
So,
Have you guys seen the documentary called Artifact, about the 30 Seconds to Mars? Their plight against their label, where they were sued by their label for $30 million.
oh wow.
It's
No, I haven't.
Yeah, Jared Leto's band.
Yeah. No, I haven't seen that documentary. Artifact?
Yeah, it's worth checking out. Only because this is cool, because where they stuck with their label, but they documented sort of their plight of, do they go independent or not, and they really did a great job of like sort of summing up the music industry of the state it is now. And what got
Hmm.
me thinking was, for you guys, is that you can take, when this is finished. So like when we go over here to, I'm going to click back. Yeah. So back to your Indiegogo campaign, the idea is that, number one, you guys did a really great job of making sure that the goal was reasonable. It
Right.
wasn't like you're asking for $60,000. It was asking for $6,000 for basically finishing funds, because I assume the film is fairly finished, but you need the extra boost. Now, even though you reach your goal, you still have 20 days left in your initial goal. And if we scroll down here, oh, there's Justin. See, that must be a much better
Oh
picture.
right.
Sorry,
Yeah. I
Justin.
forgot there was a,
So
a
okay,
large picture on the page. Yeah.
so there, okay, and then here's a picture of Rosetta. So you can kind of see, this is, when we say post metal, for those fans, it's a harder, harder edge sound. So, when you're shoegazing, I suppose, as your head's down on your shoe and you're gazing, bobbing your head. Anyhow, you guys have something really cool. So look, if you reach $7,500, then you can add extra perks. And you've written here, like, every contributor will receive a digital copy of deleted scenes and extras not contained in the theatrical version of the film. Anyone who's chosen a perk with a DVD will also get the deleted scenes and extras on their DVD. So that's very cool. So you have 20 days from here, July 4th, to get to $7,500 to get some added perks. Now, the interesting thing, what I was thinking, is that you guys, because of the film that's out, Artifact, um, the good news is you can. Sorry, I'm doing like a bunch of different things. I talk. Okay. So what's the good news is, like, when you guys release it, you can sort of pair it to sort of that already marketing campaign. So people that may have seen that film, maybe they've
Right.
hashtag like Artifact or whatever it is. Um, you can piggyback off that. It's really cool, you know.
Hmm.
And so there's something to think about. So there's like, at the post marketing, as you guys are finishing it, there's where the difference is, where that film, they had to deal with like resolving issues with their label. Rosetta has this whole story about, no, we're not even accepting the label, even though we've been asked to. That we made a decision, we're going to go independent. And it is a great parallel for independent filmmakers to really see what the uh, independent musicians are doing in relationship to the record company. Because obviously we've probably heard this before, but what's happened to the music industry is a good guiding light for where the independent film industry is going, and sort of to try to figure out what those independent artists are doing, or how the relationship with the artists, musicians, and labels is the same thing, very similar thing that independent filmmakers have to deal with distributors and distribution companies and the studio system and whatnot. So the good news is that the musicians sort of are taking the brunt, but those independent filmmakers can have an opportunity to learn from that. Let's see here. Do we freeze up?
No, I'm still here.
I'm still here too, but my face is frozen. And there's my
Oh.
mouse. Oh, okay, that's nice. I don't know. You know what it is? It's 4th of July, and I have house guests, and they might pick up my Wi-Fi. So, all right, so we're back. All right, I want to show you something real quick to see. We're gonna go back to my screen share. If it wakes up, wake up. Okay, sorry. Gosh, technology. I know we're early on in this stuff, but okay. Where is it? Okay, screen share. I'm like calling Siri. Screen share. All right. Why is it not working?
Not yet.
Wait, I'm gonna go back to you, and then I'm gonna go back to me, and then I'm gonna click the screen share option, and maybe it's happening.
I don't see anything.
No, 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 no. It's not working from my end. By the way, if anybody is out there, I doubt it, one or two viewers or something like that, there is the Q&A app activated. So if you have any questions, you can always just shoot that over. Um, it's a bummer. I can't seem to get it over. Anyway, what I wanted to show was there was like 6 tips of like how to run a successful crowdfunding campaign, and I wanted to ask you, did you guys follow any of those 6 tips? And this is coming from like a Kickstarter thing. And so
Okay.
since I can't see it on my screen, I'm gonna have to just tell people what it is. I don't know why the screen share option is not working right now. Okay, so number 1 is, this is based off Kickstarter, and Kickstarter has the main difference between Kickstarter and the IndieGoGo, at least initially. I think things have changed, but Kickstarter was, you have to reach your goal, your funding, otherwise you get no money, right?
That's still true. Yeah.
That's still true. Okay, so where IndieGoGo is like, look, you know what? You can take whatever money you earn or whatever you raise. So I've seen a lot more campaigns on IndieGoGo because of this reason, and less on Kickstarter of late. But one of the things that they teach on Kickstarter is to keep your campaign under 30 days. And what are your thoughts about, how many days did you guys have yours out? 60, 30?
Oh well, I think technically it was 31. Yeah, we actually thought around the same. For what we were asking, we knew if we were going to put it for 60 days, there was going to be a ridiculous lull in the middle. Like no matter what we do, it's just if you look at these campaigns, they're always heavy at the top and heavy, generally heavy. Unless it's like Reading Rainbow or something, it's heavy at the top and heavy at the end. But a lot of that stuff in the middle, there's not a lot of action. So we might as well just keep it at 30 days because we're either going to raise the money or we're not.
Yeah, that's good.
We did 31 days, so technically, there was one other tip on, at least on the Indiegogo side, on their tips that advise not closing on a weekend. So we did 31 days. We were able to set it at 31 days, so we end on like a Monday. I don't know exactly what day that we end on, but it's not a weekend or a holiday. So that's that's a suggestion that they made not to do, because people are out having fun and doing great weekend stuff in their projects, and they may forget that, oh yeah, their campaign's ending. So yeah.
How many people were involved with the campaign? It was just yourself and Justin?
Primarily myself, Justin, and then his brother Jay, who's also a producer, and is helping out with the kind of the writing process as well.
So let me ask you. You guys have 31 days because you mapped it out, so it's like, okay, let's not make sure that we don't end this on a weekend.
Hmm.
And did you have a strategy plan, like a marketing plan to just have like a daily, consistent sort of material that you're going to send to backers or potential backers, or I don't know what do they call it in Indiegogo? Is it backers or
I think it's
contributors?
contributors on
Okay,
Indiegogo. Yeah,
because they call it backers on Kickstarter, right?
right. Um, so initially we launched when we did because the band we knew we needed to get a push from the band before to get things started. And we prior to about 2 or 3 weeks prior to launching the campaign, we created a Facebook page. We created a Twitter account, um, and we linked those two up together. So when we put a Facebook post, it automatically makes a Twitter a tweet as well. Um, and we did what we could to gain, I guess, kind of fans or I guess people likes, I guess, since it is Facebook. And then the band, it's a couple days before we launched our campaign. The band then told everyone about the page. We also had a website, a very simple website right now, set up with basically a link to the page and just some like a contact form and a thing if you want to be kept notified. You can put your email address in there too, if you want to stay notified for further updates. But I think once we launched it to the band, also sent a Facebook message out, or not a message, but just a status post about the documentary, and then they went away to China. So we knew that we were going to be maybe on our own for a while. They didn't think they would have access specifically because it's a little difficult unless you have like a VPN to access Facebook in China. Um,
Right.
so but they were actually able to do so a couple times. They were able to help us out by retweeting us while they're in China. So I guess they did find access to a VPN at some point. But yeah, we try to keep a message every now and then. We try to use the update feature on Indiegogo to keep engaged with those that have already contributed to us. There's a tool that I just found out about that we're gonna try to use this weekend or kind of set up called Buffer.
Right.
And what that allows you to do, I don't know if maybe your listeners might be already familiar with it, but it's allows you to essentially just schedule out so your social media. You can go ahead and pre-write a bunch of posts that you want to do, and then you can schedule it to go out at a certain time, and that way, so you can possibly write, a week's worth of updates just to keep people aware that, oh yeah, it's still going on, um, and and you don't have to really worry about the day-to-day aspect, because if Justin and I both have jobs, so we're, sometimes that'll get a little crazy. So doing stuff on the weekend like that in preparation is a great tip, especially if you've got to kind of juggle it around other life stuff.
Right, right.
Um,
Actually, yeah, Buffer. So those who don't know, it was primarily made for Twitter originally, and it was just sort of they created like this pre-made schedule. So you can create your tweets, or like you want to retweet something or create your own tweets. You can fill it into this dialog box, or this basically this their interface, and it'll schedule out over a course of time, over throughout the day, every day of the week for you, so you always look like you're active, or you have something active happening on behalf of your account. I tried Buffer. I really like the interface, and a lot of people use it. I've opted to go with Hootsuite only because Hootsuite allowed me to also schedule into Facebook pages. So the pages that or groups, I'm sorry, pages and groups, so mostly groups. So there's a lot of like filmmaking groups, or depending if you might be like post metal groups, or people or groups
mhm.
within that the area that the band's from. And so you're allowed to, with Hootsuite, is also schedule into the pipes into those groups. And they have a little bit of settings for Google Plus profile pages. Hootsuite does. Buffer doesn't have that yet. I'm waiting for them to do that, and I might probably switch over back to Buffer.
Mhm.
But either one, Buffer or Hootsuite, is a really good tool for doing that. And it's interesting that you brought that up because you guys have like 20 days left in your campaign. So in 11 days, you already hit your right away. You hit your goal, which is fabulous. Fabulous. I don't know. Jazz hands. Anyway, so so let me see. Going back to this tip, let me see if I can get the screen share working again one more time, people. Come on, people. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now see this. I wanted to make this look like. Everybody sees this? Good.
Oh,
I want
great.
I'm trying to make these hangouts a little bit more interesting to look at, watch, instead of just two people talking with microphones in their faces. Um, so try to enable the screen share function on Google Hangouts. So here it was. So 6 tips of a successful campaign. This is based off Kickstarter stuff. So you guys kept it to 31 days, which is good. Which is, they say, keep the campaign under 30 days. And the reason you want to do that is like you create this sort of urgency. And there's something
Mhm.
neat about like sort of this finite timeline that everybody feels like, oh, well, I better get in on this. But if you extend it out too long, people get lazy and they won't, participate until maybe the very last day. So the 30 days is always good because that's just about enough of a marketing blitz that people can stomach without getting sick of it.
Right.
So, so they say make it number 2, make a budget included on a page. I think this is really these tips are actually coming from entrepreneur.com, Entrepreneur Magazine, and this is really in general. This is outside of just making for films. When they say make a budget, it's simply saying like this is what we're going to do this is what we're going to use the money for, whatever we raise.
Mhm.
So you're being transparent. And then they say number 3, offer a lot of smaller awards perks. And it's interesting because later on in this slide, I'll show you what the IndieGoGo CEO advice is for that. So let's switch back over to, let's look over to your guys' perks as I go to screen share. And oh wait, it, it always goes back to me first. All right. Then what happened to you guys? Where are you? What's this? What's this? All right, so hold on for a second. It's like I gotta set this up. I actually need like 3 monitors to make this thing work. Okay. Oh, there we go. There you are. Okay, so I want to take a look at your screen. Yes. Oh no. See, it's hosing up. It's hosing up. There we go. Do you see this?
I do see it.
Okay, so let's look at your perks. You guys just start off nice. So Indiegogo allows you to do a featured perk. They don't call it perks.
Mhm.
What do they call it? They call it perks, don't
Oh
they?
no, it's a perk, yeah.
Wait, that's right. Let me be Captain Obvious here, and it says right here, select a perk.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called. Okay, awards is Kickstarter calls it awards. All right, so Indiegogo calls it perk. So you have the feature perk at $30, be an educator, and then you get the list of all this stuff here. And then your base price is $10, which is good because it's like, hey, digital copy of the movie, boom, there it is. $10, that's a comfortable price everybody's used to, for buying something. $25. At what point did you realize how far into the campaign of your 31 days did you install the $25 DVD perk? Did I lose you? Oh no, I lost you. Look at me. Did I lose you? Are you on mute? Am I on mute? Hey, so you can hear me. What happened to your voice? I can see you and see your expression, but somehow we lost each other's voices. But no, but you can hear me, and the broadcast can hear me, but we can't hear you for some reason. Great. This is. Oh, there you go. I hear you
Hello, can
now.
you hear me?
I can hear you now. What happened?
I don't know, I think for some reason the Google Hangouts lost my the big mic that I have in front of me right here. So I'm using my I guess my laptop right now at the moment.
You sound. It sounds so. It sounds good still.
Did you hear anything there?
No. You
No.
know what? Let's double check.
Okay.
If you want to check that little wheel, your settings wheel.
Oh yeah, it's just I just checked it just now and it looked like the thing went away. So the microphone went away that I was using for some reason. So I'll have to troubleshoot that later. But you can hear me now.
I can hear
So
you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You sound good. I
yeah.
mean, it sounds well. By the way, I do like the Captain America. My family is sort of obsessed. My daughter's become super obsessed with Captain America. Anyhow, so I'm going to switch back to the perks here. So, can you explain to us at what point, like you mentioned, the $25 perk is pretty significant, um, you know, and then you $40, $50, the usual. Was it getting? Let me ask you, because you guys go all the way up to 750, which is great. You had two people claim that. That was huge.
Right.
Uh, Let me ask you, was it difficult to come up with the different perks? Like, well, what are we going to offer at $60? What's like how hard was it to come up with interesting perks?
It was a little different, difficult because we didn't we we actually had some guy at IndieGoGo that works at IndieGoGo that is a fan of Rosetta. That when he saw that our campaign on Rosetta's Facebook page, that he actually reached out to us and he was like, well, let me help you, give you some tips to help you guys succeed.
Oh,
And
do share, do share. You're getting some Indiegogo insight. Well, first of all,
right.
that's amazing. So that's awesome. Go ahead
So
and
I think initially we had the $50 perk um, as what I just threw it up there as the featured perk because I didn't really think about it too much. It was like, oh sure, I'll just put the $50 in there. And he actually said that, and Indiegogo will also say this, that the most claimed perk on every across all campaigns is typically between is the $25 or $30 perk. If you have one that's priced around there, that's typically the one that the majority of people go for. And that's, I would say that's actually relatively true. Um, uh, and so he actually said, okay, well, so like let's feature the $30 perk. So that's what we did initially, and then he was trying to work with us to see if we could get some perks that were beyond just video, of possibly some merchandise like some kind of T-shirt or something signed by the band, but we couldn't necessarily get the band to commit to that. So we still did kind of stay with the videos and stuff like that, and it was a little difficult. I think our most challenging thing um, was once we kind of got past. Uh, we had we had the $10, we had the $30, and the $50 initially, and those we thought were really solid. We thought that people would be really interested in that. Is the $150 and the $750? We struggled with those for quite a while, and I mean, as you see, the 150, we only have one, I think, one backer on that, um, and
astronaut.
yeah, and kind of having something in the mid range between the 50 uh, and the 150 is something that we did struggle with for a little while, and we ended up doing the kind of the 2 disc DVD where the second disc basically includes all the concert footage, all the 2 concerts that we filmed in their entirety. Um, so that's kind of what we ended up doing, but if we didn't have those concerts, I'm not entirely sure what we would have done as the kind of mid-range uh, spot between those things. But you do, I think what he was saying is yes, lots of perks, especially in the lower end. I would say probably up to 150 that you need to have it kind of. If we could do it better, we would have maybe put a little more thought into those mid-range between that 50 and 150 before we had launched. And so that's what I'd recommend everyone else doing before doing a campaign is really kind of work hard to fill all those gaps of maybe having one at 75 or 80 or something like that, as well.
It's interesting to me because I know like online entrepreneurs and business people and marketers, they you see very common sort of just like a three price tier. There might something like you can get something at 19.99, or it's the new thing is not 19.99, it's like 19.97 or whatever, like
Mm,
$19.97. So you get something like that, and then you get then they offer something for like $39.97 or something like that. And
right.
then it's like $99.99. So they stick with like the three sort of tiered price. And I'm wondering, I haven't seen any IndieGoGo or Kickstarter campaign perks were simplified, where it's like, look, we're offering a $10 thing, a $35 thing, and a straight up $100 thing. And I guess maybe like and then like one $5,000 thing or whatever it might be. I don't know exactly, but it's interesting to see. I haven't seen it yet, but I wonder if that would work. I don't know. It was just curious to me. Let me ask you. So we go back to my fun screen share again. Then we'll lose your audio from it. So so okay. So you did that. You did offer a lot of smaller perks. Did you reach out to people that you knew before the launch?
Yeah, so we did reach out to people we know before the launch. We did reach out to um, uh, the people that appear in the film, not just the band itself, but the kind of the auxiliary people, including a lead singer of a band that influenced them, that has a relatively popular. He has a kind of a like a kind of like a brand of merchandise and stuff that he has, and he has a following on Facebook. So we reach out to him. We reach out to this music critic that appears in the film. We reach out all the people that appear in the film to kind of help us promote it. Some of that's kind of been staggered over the campaign, so it wasn't all just, hey, go support this movie. Some of it, the band was right up front. The guy with the from the other band that influenced Rosetta, he just, I think, sent something out yesterday. So we're trying to kind of stretch it out a little bit, and then of course we pretty much contacted all our friends and family as well, and
Right,
other
like
kind
you're
of
supposed to.
filmmaking
Yeah.
groups that we're involved with.
Interesting. Let me
Yeah.
ask you. So then they mentioned that you should send out tailored messages and follow individually. I think that in terms of just like the concept is anybody who has expressed interest, it's good to follow up. So it's not just like one message. It's simply like, hey, just following up again. If you want to help us out, there's something to be said about being persistent,
Right.
or to a point where you're not necessarily being annoying, but there's a fine art between like gentle nudge and promotion. Did you guys get into any of that kind of stuff with your marketing campaign for the crowdfunding?
I think we're probably going to go a little bit more tailored, in to to kind of make sure that the people that we want to get kind of involved with this movie, that they specifically know about it. Because I know sometimes, especially with the Facebook algorithms changing all the time. I mean, probably Facebook is our primary form of engaging with people right now. Um, and with that algorithm, it can easily get lost. There's just kind of general messages. So I think that's probably our focus in the next 20 days, is kind of go um, kind of more individually, and let certain people that we want to talk more with about this film, let them know that, hey, this exists, because um, you may have heard us talking about it before, but it's actually happening. It's finishing up, and we'd love your help, um, on a more
Nice.
one-on-one basis, because I know I follow some pages, and I feel like I never um, see any updates, because Facebook's always changing that algorithm. So
Yeah, that's a whole another can. We'll go into some time and
yeah.
see there. Um, here's some three tips. Here's some three tips from IndieGoGo to see. This is coming from the CEO. One, make a great campaign, which is hilarious. It's like, hey, your number one tip, you just, don't suck. That's pretty much what they're saying. The number two thing is offer interesting perks. Anything to interest to draw in potential, I guess, contributors, backers, contributors. God, I can't tell the difference between them. Number three, do you have an audience that cares? And it's really, all this stuff is essentially the same thing that online entrepreneurs teach, which is don't necessarily make a product and push it onto your audience. You make something, you develop an idea only to a certain point, just so that you can test the waters to see if your audience cares or if there is an audience for it, which is what your campaign allowed you to do, because you're like, hey, we love this band. We're interested in showing like their struggles as an independent artist, making it on their own without going to a label. If you're interested in this, in this plight, which is great because Justin told that story. So you have this campaign idea, you got the interesting perks, and it looks like you definitely did tap into an audience that cares. And so if you want to know, it's funny that you mentioned it, but the CEO also mentioned that the $25 perk is the most popular. So you have a $25, $35 range as your perk, and yes, that's what you guys did, and that's coming from IndieGoGo themselves. And I'll leave this link for anybody who wants to download this slide when I finish this Hangout up, and I wrap it all up nicely, and then you can find it at filmtrooper.com. Look for Film Marketing Fridays under the Film Marketing Tips. Okay, it's a lot of things to look for, but just follow me here. All right, so I'm going to switch back over here to you. Wait, to me. There's screen share. I should pop up. Oh no, did it hose again?
I see
you.
Right.
Okay, then I'm going to see you in a second. Hold on. There you are. Okay, so first of all, congratulations. That's awesome. I think in 11 days you guys were able to reach your goal. And it didn't sound like you guys had necessarily like a hardcore sort of marketing plan in place. Or okay, this is how we're going to attack it. Like day one, we're going to do this. Day two, like you did your due diligence and says, okay, we set up the Twitter account, the Facebook page, and so on. We've taken our time to reach out to those influencers prior to launching the campaign, and you put together your page correctly, having a nice video in place to explain the story of why you guys are doing this and who Rosetta is for those who don't understand. But if you didn't like their music, here's a cool thing about what you guys have done. If you don't like the music, you've already communicated the story, which is interesting to any artist, which is like the fight to be independent. And this is actually fitting because today is Independence Day for that we celebrate the 4th of July. And there's a great quote from like Kevin Smith when he talks about independent filmmakers. Kevin Smith of Clerks and Jay and Silent Bob and all that type of stuff. He talked about he's like F you, we're indie, we're rock and roll indie, we're doing this on our own. Oh, then they're like, but wait a minute, I need to sell it to a distribution company to make anything make anything happen. So like even back when they were selling all these films in Slam Dance and Sundance, these independent filmmakers, they might have made the product themselves, but to get to the next step of distribution and exposure that gave them the careers they had, they still needed to rely on a distribution company. So they were still dependent, not independent, but dependent on some sort of pseudo studio system or other company to come in place. So the difference is, I think to sum up the theme of today is the story of Rosetta, they really are independent, where and this is the story that Justin wants to share, is this fight to be an independent artist. It's something that all artists can grab onto and say, that interests me, no matter what art you're doing. Just the struggle of that to be independent is very, very appealing. And then, but it's interesting. I don't necessarily think that anybody could ever become 100% independent, because we are dependent on the number one thing, which is the audience and fans. We So, but the cool thing is we can be independent of all these middlemen, which is really great, and which is the concept of film trooper in general, that um, filmmakers becoming entrepreneurs or learning entrepreneurial methods to enhance their filmmaking careers, so they don't necessarily feel like they have to be dependent on another entity. And if they choose to do so, if they go into business, for instance, for you guys, if you choose to finish the film and you get a good deal, like as long as distribution companies are offering, giving up,
Uh,
essentially. I think somebody said it the best. It's like you really asking yourself, like, how much of my company, how much of this product am I willing to give up? That's pretty much what you're asking for when you accept investment money, in this case for filming a distribution deal. Like, how are you willing to give up? Um, and which is fine. You just have to be strategic about it. So let me ask you: do you guys have a plan, or in set in to say, like, when this film is finished, is it a film festival run, theatrical run on your own, or are you working with a distribution company, or you're gonna say, you know what, we're doing this independent. We're gonna do this independent, just like Rosetta would.
so we're actually going to take the so when Rosetta actually released their last album, which I have always have a hard time. The Anesthete,
Pronouncing?
I think, is the name of the album. I always kind of mess up
Yeah, I'm
pronouncing
sorry, I talked over you again. What was it?
uh,
What was the name?
the Anesthete, I think, is the name of the album
That
that
sounds
they
good to
that
me.
they released.
I can't
And
pronounce any English words myself.
yeah, um, and when they released it, they actually did it through Bandcamp, which actually has a pay what you wish model. So what we're doing when releasing this film through a combination, we're kind of self-hosting it with Amazon S3 um, uh, and WordPress plus WooCommerce. So we're able to kind of we're setting up a system to where we can actually, at least for a limited run, we're going to do uh, the same experiment. So we're actually going to offer, um, and it does talk a little bit about it on our IndieGoGo page. We're actually going to offer the people can actually, if they really decide they don't want to spend any money on it, they can actually download the film for free, or they can pay what they wish. The same kind of concept.
That's
And
right.
so we're going to do we're at least committing to doing that for 2 weeks and seeing how it runs out, and we might continue on if it's successful. But we figured that we were going to completely mirror how Rosetta itself released their last album in releasing this film.
Interesting.
So,
Actually, that's right. You guys, I forgot. I did read that at the bottom, which
mm.
was, yeah, that's your plan. Pay your wish.
So
Um,
it may work, it may not, but we wanted to give it a try. With selling it using kind of setting up our own system and using Amazon as the back end, it's really going to cost us a couple cents per download. So even if a whole bunch of people download it, I think for us it's still uh, a win-win because we want to kind of get it out there. Um, but we would love it, obviously we'd love it if we, I mean, he's put a lot of time and money, and at least money in the time he's lost spending all this time making this movie. So it would be great if Justin could kind of get it back, and then we can put some money into the next film. But we are committed on this experiment, and we want to check it out at least for 2 weeks. And then if it doesn't work out, then we'll move to a fixed cost. But one way what we're going to do, we're going to kind of continue on offering some of these same perks. So it's a pay what you wish, but if they want the concert, if you give, I think probably similar to what the Indiegogo campaign level was. So say you wanted to get all the videos that were in the $30 level or the $50 level, the concert video and stuff like that, then you can get the film itself for free. But if you gave $30, you'd get all those videos that we were offering as part of the IndieGoGo at that $30 level. You get all the rest of those things. So we'll have some stuff that will encourage people to still spend money and still spend money on the film.
Gotcha, gotcha.
So
Very cool. Well, you know what? Thank you so much for coming on and just chatting with me about the project. You guys have 20 days left as of July 4th. And the great thing about it is even though you hit your goal, you made a new goal or a new perk, and it just keeps going. And now you have this thing that shows sort of what we call social proof that people are way to back this project, and you can actually use that sort of to your advantage for other marketing things. So if you put together your buffer team, you can just say, like, hey, we hit our perk, more people are interested, but we've added some other. Please contribute. So the concept is like, oh, this. So if there's somebody says, oh, in this project because they're willing to pay it, maybe I'll just take a quick look at the link,
Yeah.
And I don't know their feed. If something like every little headline that you do, and you put like the short, like a bit.ly or a short sort of code, links you to your IndieGoGo campaign. Definitely make sure you have your hashtags in there. So it's hashtag. That's how people sort of find you that are not part of your circle. So it's like hashtag indie film, hashtag metal, hashtag or whatever it is, Rosetta, or especially if it's Rosetta, and then try to find people having discussions. So you can do a quick search within Twitter to say, hashtag Rosetta if anybody's, referring to the band that may not be in your circle, who may not know about this. Then you can, great thing about Twitter, you can just say like at Joe Smith, hey, I liked or I retweeting your post about post metal or something that they might be interested in, and then you can direct them back to your link, that type of engagement, and you can kind of set it up and buffer that way so that you're sort of broadcasting out. It's not the most engaging, but it's the only way to maximize sort of exposure because people are, on Twitter are getting like 5 minute chunks. You know what I mean?
Right.
So definitely make sure you use the hashtags to your advantage, or find out what hashtags would be valuable in conjunction with any sort of small link that directs you to the IndieGoGo campaign, because even though you've hit your goal, this is a great opportunity to even get more funding, but also, if it's not more funding, just more interest. Because you said you guys have a way to acquire email accounts, and that's sort of what you want. The golden nugget for all businesses is the email account, just because you can collect this email list. Because, like you said, Facebook, you don't know what's going to happen with the rules, whether or not anybody sees your posts from the pages you have. Because the reality is organic search is pretty much dead in Facebook. The only thing that works in Facebook is if people are actively answering questions or responding or sharing the links that you are posting on your page. Only then those people might see any updates that come into their feed. Everyone else that might have liked it but are not actively engaging in that will not see it organically. They're gonna it never comes up in their feed. Even though I have a ton of pages I've liked, but I don't interact with it regularly or see anything come into my news feed. The only thing I see come into my news feed are people that are paying for the ads. So you'll see like sponsored. That's what I'm seeing come in. So sort of that's how Facebook works. But with the social proof you have of a successful campaign, use that as a positive advantage to get more fans or anybody that can jump onto the email list or something, because you never know, because somebody may not be willing to pay for the $10 perk, but they'll be willing to pay $1 to $5 once the thing comes out. At least they know it's coming. And if you guys can show the goodwill and just show the human side of your campaign, people have a weird way of, like, once it finally hits, like, you know what? Yeah, $5 or whatever, like $10. There's this feeling of the Dove Sidman talks about. It's the WTF price point.
Hmm.
What the F?
Yeah.
Here, I'll pay for this much. Anyhow, so you
But
might want to do that.
yeah.
It might be helpful because you have some great leverage here because you had a successful campaign. You have social proof that people want to see it, and I think you guys can definitely use it to your advantage in anything that you do moving forward. Because that's a great feather in the cap to say, hey, we're part of a successful crowdfunding campaign for this particular project, and come join us for the new ride or whatever you want to do, and definitely pump that up. So with that said, um, do you have any? I know you're standing up there. Look at you
Yeah, my,
stretching
my
out.
battery is. I was running off of battery power and it's almost dead, so I'll finish up. Now
Yeah,
it's
once you
plugged
finish,
in. So
we've hit the hour mark. So I was going to share your link, so everybody again can
Mm.
get your link to the IndieGoGo campaign and know more about what you guys are doing. But do you have any final words you want to just share out there that when we go publish it out there?
uh,
Oh,
yeah. So sorry, just so I would reorganize here. Yeah, I normally do all this stuff. I have a desktop, kind of an office area, but it doesn't have. I just got a, a desktop, and it doesn't. I don't have a webcam for it, so kind of more mobile on my laptop here. Um, no, I think you kind of wrapped it up nicely. I think it's been an interesting experience and something that I have not done. I haven't done this kind of this part of it before, as far as the marketing or the crowdfunding or any of that. And I think it's kind of I do have a little bit of a history with um, web stuff as far as little bit of website design and stuff like that. So kind of figuring that part of it's been interesting. Kind of figuring out, okay, it is possible that we can do a pay what you wish thing, which is something that we wanted to try to do. Um, and it's uh, it's just it's just really inspiring how many different there's just so many options now of being able to get it out there, and it's great to see, um, or just to know that hey, there's at least somebody interested in watching this film. Sometimes it's hard when you're working, maybe sometimes for a couple months on a film, and maybe you don't know if anyone actually wants to see it. And now with the internet being what it is, you can create a trailer, you can create something, a clip or something like that, and you can share it with people, and you can get pretty real time feedback. Um, I mean, the fact that we got requests for the DVDs and that we were able to add that within a few moments and immediately start seeing results of that. Like you can react very quickly to what your fans or who are the people that you're making this film for actually want, and that's really cool about having all these tools available. It's just figuring out the right combination and using it all. And I think that's probably why you have your podcast as well, and your site, is trying to figure out which tools and such are going to be the most beneficial for your film and getting it out there. So
yeah, definitely. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for coming on and just sharing the story of Rosetta and what you guys are doing. And I just wanted to kind of prod a little bit about the steps you guys have done with the crowdfunding campaign. And my whole thing is, what's fantastic about this is that you guys are creating a product, a digital product. It's a film product. Obviously, you can go on DVD and whatnot too. But the cool
mhm.
thing about it is that the process of the crowdfunding allows you to do in a very focused time frame, like 31 days, to figure out how to market, to reach out to a customer base, and to see results, monetary results from the efforts. And so what happens then is, believe it or not, you've already entered the world of entrepreneurship, because now once you get through this and you see what works and what doesn't work, what you hope to have happen is like, how can we supersize it the next time? You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
we got this experience or the trial and error because it's the rite of passage for anybody who's venturing out to be an entrepreneur, even filmmaker, or in just things in life is simply to fail. Let's say fail, but you got to try, and then if something doesn't work or didn't work, why didn't it work, and you try to come back at it again and again. I think, what is it, Thomas Edison, went through 10,000 iterations of the light bulb before he got it right, and he never saw it as a failure. He just said, "Oh, I found 10,000 ways it didn't work." So an entrepreneur sees it at a much more of a positive. The glass is half filled, not empty. So in this particular case, it's fantastic because anybody who builds a product, a digital product, and sells it online is going to have to learn some of these, all the basic aspects of business, product development, marketing, distribution, all these types of things. And you guys are doing it, and you may not even know that you're actually doing it, and then you got to step back. And the cool thing about it is, hopefully, you'll see some other things to be like, we did this with the film. I wonder what other things we can do. Like, what other ways we can serve the audience or provide something for a customer base, but still utilize or supersize techniques that we had done in our first effort. And between how successful entrepreneurs look at things, and those know they had the opportunity right in front of their entrepreneurs always just looking at they see it slightly different, where they here's an opportunity you could do. You definitely could do something like this. Because my feelings are with your guys' work, it's like you finish it, but I see a great opportunity to sort of piggyback it on with what's going on with the Artifact campaign. Maybe just after you're done with it, trial and error or something, maybe just sort of to worked with that documentary. But even if it's not working with them directly, there's a shared message that you guys have in your film, which is the plight of the independent artist fighting to be independent, a larger entity, and that in itself is sort of the theme that you can try to latch on to other stories. Maybe it's an author, maybe it's a artist, a painter that's doing something similar. So when now you have this theme. This is sort of your theme of marketing, that you reach out to their audiences that may not be familiar with Rosetta. So it's just something to think about, in the back of your mind as you sort of expand into the development of the project. But either that, all in all, we'll wrap it up here. It's 4th of July. Your battery almost died, but you made it. Jeremy, thank you so much for taking your time again. I will definitely share the links to everybody. And if you hang tight here, I got to do my due diligence and do my screen share of how I wrap this stuff up. So here it is again, the link for the IndieGoGo campaign, and this will be available to everybody to take a look at. And I, as you guys know, I always have a thing to help me out. It's just listen, for anybody who's sat around and watched this thing all the way to the end, I always offer this free gear guide at freegearguide.com, and this is an equipment list of everything that I use to make a feature film for $500 with no crew. And again, that's at freegearguide.com. It's just an equipment list. It's kind of fun just to see all the equipment that was used. And when you do for this,